I'm not even going to try to make this perfect, so I do apologize if this isn't the same pace as my typical video, but I'm just here to talk and interact with you guys. I don't really take a lot of recent opportunities to have conversations with my community, so this is honestly one of the first times in a long time that I've actually done something like this, so I hope you guys enjoy, so yeah. Q&A. This is another Q&A video. You might see in the title there's Q&A 3. I probably did the first one for personal reasons. The best way I can word it is that there were certain responses that I gave that were illegitimate, and at the time I could say that I was influenced to give illegitimate responses on the behalf of people who I no longer wish to appeal to. So that's all I'll say about that, but anyway, you guys asked some really phenomenal questions. Like, I was genuinely flabbergasted at how thoughtful the questions were. I know I asked them to be thoughtful, but still, you guys asked some really good questions, man, I'll be honest with you. So I'm gonna probably take my time and try to answer as many as I can. I do apologize if you asked a good question and I skipped over you, because there was just so many good questions asked. So I'll probably make a part 2. So let's get this started. So the first question I wanted to tackle was from Florida Man 3000. He says, "How are you? I know you've been through a lot and I want to know if you're alright." To be honest with you, no, I'm not okay, honestly. 2020 by itself has been a series of events, but overall the last few years, like since the beginning of my conception of my YouTube channel, has just been a cacophony of fuckery. Just a series of events that have just transpired into such negative outcomes, And, I'm gonna be real, I feel like the highlight or the Hall of Infamy, number one moment that I can think of was the unfortunate passing of my grandmother back in April. That affected me very deeply, It's not the first time I dealt with death. It's not the first time I dealt with personal death even, but that was an individual who I would consider a pillar of my life, a pillar of my existence, and they're just, they're gone. You know what I'm saying? Them being gone really affected me deeply, bro. And it's like, you almost take that individual for granted because they've been there since the beginning. They've been a constant in your life. So when they leave you so abruptly, so unexpectedly, and so tragically, the world that you lived in when they were alive is no longer the world you lived in when they were gone. You understand me? It's not the same existence. I would be lying to you if I said everything felt the same. And there's been a lot of shit that's happened behind the scenes that I just don't talk about. I don't talk about because it's private, and I do not wish to bring to public private affairs that occur in my life. I feel like there will be a time and a place for that, and that time and place is yet to flourish, so I simply remain quiet. But I will say this, For every moment where I've doubted myself, questioned my resolve, and for every moment where I thought, maybe this just isn't meant for me, you guys really pushed me to keep going. I know that may sound disingenuous, it may not sound authentic in this moment, but I want you to know that you guys are literally the reason why I kept going, Because when those moments would occur and life would hit you like that, and there's been a lot of those, I need you to understand, there's been a lot of those moments. I don't talk about it, I don't, but there's been a lot of those fucking moments too. And when those moments hit you, when they fucking explode in your face like that, having those people in your life that uplift you, having those people in your life that push you forward, and even you guys on this YouTube channel, just looking at the comments and seeing the same usual suspects motivate me to move forward, you have no idea how tremendous that is in my ability to move forward. So I want you guys to know that I deeply appreciate you guys. I'm very grateful for you guys, and you are the reason why I have not given up yet. And so, am I okay? No. Will I be okay? I'm pretty sure I'll be okay. And I thank you guys for that. Truly. Question number 2 comes from get_hard. Cool. Do you personally believe that sexuality is defined by birth or something that naturally catches on as you age? Yes and yes. I feel like who you are as an individual from when you're born. There are certain things that you have an affinity towards, that you acclimate towards, and you have a proclivity towards. But I also feel like the ultimate deciding factor is outside stimulus and how it influences you, right? You know, you could be heterosexual, live around homosexuals, and still end up heterosexual. Or you can have an affinity or proclivity to homosexuality and be open to be interpreted to it, you know? I feel like trying to act like that doesn't influence an individual is preposterous. I feel like trying to act like living in that climate will absolutely leave somebody unaffected is preposterous. One way or another, if something indirectly or directly attempts to influence you, it will succeed in doing so, especially at the developmental stages of your life. That is my firm belief. That being said, I think sexuality is just fucking it's overvalued. It's such a fucking overrated aspect of society. I'm completely in standing with the LGBTQ community when they say shit like, you know, sexuality needs to just be put aside. Like your gender, your self-identity, you know, whether you suck dick and have a dick, eat pussy and have a pussy, or some combination of those things, it's drivel. It doesn't affect anything overall and large of society, you know? I think we should just have like a nationwide orgy. Just get it out of our system. You know, just have a day where everybody fucks. Like, you know, just grab a nigga or a bitch and fuck him. Like, you know, just get this shit out your system, because, you know, it's really holding us back as a country, in my opinion. So, next question comes from Hashi Biroko. I don't know if I pronounced that right. If you had influence over the next trend in video games, what would you choose and why? So here's my take on this, right? The reason why battle royales are so popular is because they have zero investment required to get into the game. Does that make sense? There's zero commitment games. So you can pick up a battle royale, play for thousands of hours, and have the exact same experience as someone who has only played for an hour. There is literally no difference between the person who has put 1,000 hours into a battle royale and the person who has put an hour into a battle royale. And I feel like this is the reason why they're so popular, right? Because there's absolutely no commitment required to hop into a battle royale. So at any point in time, at any timeline of conception in a battle royale's longevity, they can get a burst in players because nobody needs to commit to them. So if I could set the status quo, I would do the opposite. I would make games like RPGs, games like MMOs where commitment is all that's required. I would make those games the most popular, because I feel like battle royales are doing a good thing by being a bad thing, and they're making people desire games that require more commitment and investment, you know? I feel like I couldn't imagine someone like Daltouche, who puts thousands of hours into the game, being leveled to somebody who picked up the game during season 6. Because virtually, aside from cosmetics, what's the difference between him and somebody who just started playing the game? You understand what I'm saying? Like, that's the thing about battle royales that is so contradicting, and what makes them so trendy is the fact that they require zero commitment. So I would simply make RPGs, MMOs, or squad shooters, you know, squad games like Left 4 Dead. I would make those the next trend, because those games are games that really make for healthy communities. Those are games that really make for true longevity, because they reward top tier players, because my investment is immediately paid off. And yeah, I would make those games the games that are at the top of the gaming hierarchy, if I had to say so, you know? Next question comes from Pepsi. He asks, do you think Fortnite is the reason why so many titles feel obligated to shoehorn a battle pass, no matter how fucking stupid? I feel like the corporate climate of gaming in general seizes any and all opportunities for monetization. But I feel like for battle passes specifically, I would amount battle royales in general as the consequence of that, definitely. The reason why battle passes work in battle royales, like I just previously stated, is because they have zero commitment. So the one way to identify someone who's played a long time versus someone who hasn't played at all is their cosmetics. Skill is skill, right? I could pick up the game, you know, in theory, and be just as good as somebody who spent thousands of hours playing the game. So skill is its own variable. It does not conclude that somebody has played longer than the other. But what does universally determine somebody's playtime is typically the exclusive items that they use in the game. So battle passes work in games like Fortnite because battle passes are the only way to show any time invested into a game. And if you think that's wrong, there are niggas literally selling thousands of dollars worth of cosmetic items in their accounts on Fortnite just because they have a skin that nobody can no longer collect that came out 2 years ago. It's like, oh, you have the Dark Knight from season 2, I will pay $500 for that account, because they want a feeling of exclusivity and they want a feeling of legitimacy for playing the game for a certain period of time. In other games, it just doesn't work as well. Like Destiny is the most redundant fucking battle pass I've ever seen, because as that game is so grindy that on top of the grind you have to put into the game, the fact that I have to grind a battle pass is just kind of, it's insulting, you know. It's like deeply insulting. Like, what the fuck are you doing? But other games, yeah, definitely would blame battle royales as the reason for that. Yeah. Next question comes from Mr. Handy. He says, what games do you believe can gain notoriety, competitive or not? I think a genre of video game that is underwhelming right now but could easily become the next big thing is survival games. Survival games are done really poorly. I feel like they focus more on micromanagement than they do exploration. But honestly, exploring a world as big as Ark Survival with all of your closest friends is way more satisfying and way more gratifying than any other game experience that I've typically had with exploration. So I think if they focus more on expansion and focus more on making big maps instead of more on the survival aspect, if they tone the survival aspect just a little, and they focus more on surviving by treading out into the wilds, you understand me? I think that would be a very fun genre of game. Okay, next question comes from Valhalla's Guardian. Do you think you'll do non-commentated gameplay vids again, or are you taking your channel towards solely scripted vids with gameplay behind it? Also, do you plan to keep streaming occasionally or no? So there really hasn't been a video game that's motivated me to be consistent. Apex Legends was definitely that game when it came out, but as time went on, the subsequent updates kind of just ruined the momentum and took whatever kind of nostalgia or rose-colored glasses effect that the game initially had on me, and it just dwindled it to a point where now I could barely get on the game unassisted. Like, if I don't have somebody to get on with me, I won't play Apex. But regardless, I have a second YouTube channel, Heretic CJ, ArchWizard CJ is what I'm changing the name to, and that is the channel I want to designate my gameplay on. So ArchWizard CJ will be commentary, heavily edited, heavily scripted videos and gameplay, and ArchWizard CJ will be just raw gameplay. That's where I'll stream, might stream on CJ. That's in my mind, that's the roadmap I've made for my channel. There are more questions that ask that, I'll elaborate further, but for this question in particular, I have a second channel. Again, if anybody wants to subscribe to it, I have a second channel called ArchWizard CJ. Right now it's called Heretic CJ, in which I will be uploading raw gameplay with little commentary. So if you guys want to follow that channel for that kind of gameplay and videos, feel free to follow it. I will be uploading on it very soon, so please. Next question comes from Quisp. He says, do you have a set date for a subscriber goal or a point in the future where you think your channel will have grown a great deal? And do you personally think that you can make it to a place of YouTube notoriety with how your channel is now? I find this a very interesting question because it really makes me think, do I think that my channel can make it to that level? I would like it to. I think so. I think that my charisma, ingenuity, style, uniqueness, I don't think a lot of people have that. I've seen over the course of years as I uploaded, as I grew in confidence, I've seen people try to copy me several times. And I'm not saying it like, oh, I think they are because they use the same beats. I'll randomly stumble across a YouTube video and it'll have LA Noir music in the background and I'm like, that's my music, you know what I'm saying? And it will typically have influence for me. You know, I'll leave a message and they'll be like, oh yeah, I do videos like this because of you. And I always found that flattering, but it also makes me realize that I gotta figure out a way to, one, nobody can question my videos. Like when they hear it, when they hear me talk, when they see it, when they watch it, when they click on the thumbnail, they know it's me. But two, it's like, I feel like the difference between me and the people who are up top is that they seize opportunities. When I make my videos, I'm always a couple days or a couple weeks slower than everybody else, and that is what I struggle with. There's a lot of ideas that I've had over time that I'm 110% positive if I was faster, those ideas would have blew up, they would have exploded, you know, and I could have climbed that ladder that much faster. But because I was too slow, because I took too long with my edits, or because personal things happened in my life, that prevented me from just focusing on my work. It was at a point where I could not catch up to the status quo because everybody was dropping videos left and right. And so by the time I dropped my video, is my perspective unique? Yeah. Is my wording different? Yeah. Is my editing different? Yeah. But I'm like 2 weeks too late and everybody's moved the fuck on, you know? If I could figure out a way to balance that, I feel like I would grow much faster. Absolutely. So do I have a set date for my subscriber goal? Not really. I feel like I've given myself a year to make, I want to be able to make at least $1,500 a month off YouTube consistently, and I've given myself a year to do that. If I cannot make, you know, minimum wage a month off YouTube with it by June of 2021, then I feel like I would be forced to find alternative methods for revenue. So if I could make good money off YouTube by then, fantastic. But if I can't, then I completely and totally acknowledge that I will have to look for other means to make money. So yeah. Next question comes from Pepsi. He says, in a hypothetical situation, let's say the gaming industry is about to kick the bucket. What would you move towards to try to keep your YouTube career going? Or would you just completely give up on it? Just to kill one of the variables, let's say you're sitting at about 250,000 subs. My ultimate passion is the gaming industry. So I don't necessarily know how I would feel if the gaming industry as a whole was about to end, even though we know that's not gonna happen. But if it was, that's not my only passion. My biggest passion by far is my art. I don't really show it a lot, but I do art and I write. I write a fuck ton. I literally have journals and like private discords, etc., where I just type out my ideas and work on them, formulate them, edit them, redo them, etc. Art has been kind of wishy-washy lately, I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't share a lot of my art online. I wanted to start doing more of that. That's what my social medias are for, basically for me to progress my drawings. But I could never really find time to draw. And as a consequence of me not finding time to draw, I fell out of habit of consistently working towards my art. So my art is sort of stagnated. I haven't necessarily gotten worse, but I haven't gotten better. I'm about the same level I was back in like 2017. And that's a problem to me, because if I had been drawing consistently these last 3 years, I would be on a completely different plane of existence, to be honest with you. So it's like, if the gaming industry went in the bucket, I would just focus on my art. That would be probably the best excuse to work on my art, because there's nothing else, you know, to work towards. But at the same time, it's like, the reason why I want to work on my art and the reason why I work on my writing is because I want to make games. Like, that's one of my end goals. One of my end goals is to be in a position where I can make video games, to be in a position where I can make theater and movies, you know? So that would be a pretty low blow to me, but I wouldn't give up. No, I would just shift my channel towards my art, towards my commentary, and towards my writing. So yeah. Alright guys, that's going to be it for this video. I'm going to make a part 2 as soon as possible, and I'm going to try to have it out tomorrow. It's just so many of you guys ask so many detailed questions. I don't want to make just like one hour long video. I'd rather just break it up into 2 individual parts, so that way each person gets a fair amount of screen time. So I would definitely be making a part 2. I hope you guys tune in for that. Appreciate you guys, and be sure to like and subscribe. This has been ArchWizard CJ. I wish you all a good morrow, and I'm off for the time being.
If I don't make it, get the troops out alive. You'll make it.